All right. Good evening, everyone. It's great to have all of us here. Starting on the existing protocol, I want to welcome our guest for tonight. So quickly, I would like to read to us a short citation about her. Nancy Ekpesu, I'm sorry if I'm murdering that name, is an accomplished life coach and education and management consultant. She is the author of 8 books, including Dear Educator, The School Administrator Companion, Effective Boarding House Administration, The Front Desk Officer's Companion, Exceptional School Customer Service, and The Manager's Companion. Nancy has spoken on several reputable platforms, including a TED Talk, TOSA, APEN, the Southeast Educator Conference, SEC, and several international summits and conferences. In 2020, Nancy was named a global educational influencer, and in 2021, she was featured among 100 admired people in education by the Excellent magazine in Asia. In 2022, she was featured among Shiro's most inspiring women by the Excellent magazine. In 2022, she was also given an award by the International Internship University in India for her contribution to the development of education in Africa. Nancy lives in Lagos, Nigeria, where she works as lead consultant at Peso Smith Consulting, a firm that recruits, trains, and consults on administration and management. She speaks on various topics, including professional ethics, performance management, policies and procedures, and mental health in the workplace, and more. I hereby present to us our speaker tonight, Mrs. Nancy Ekpesu. You are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Please let me have the emojis that say that you're here and you're ready. Can you type I'm ready? Thank you so much for that introduction. So I'm going to just start sharing my slides right away because I do not have all the time in the world. And I couldn't be more glad to be here tonight to speak on a topic that is very dear to my heart, which is ethics. One of the things that my organization, President Smith Consulting, is known for is actually ethics. We are very big on ethics, and we have done a lot of training in this subject area. Please, if you can see the slide, can you just say I can see the slide in the comments so that I'm sure? Okay, everybody says we're ready. Isaac says we're ready. Semi Lola says we're ready. Thank you so much, okay? All right, so let me hear you say, I can see the slide. I can see the slides. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to be sure. All right, so our topic is professional ethics for educators. And I'm going to keep it very simple. Unfortunately, we'll not be able to have a lot of activities because usually when I do this as a workshop, we have a workbook and a whole lot of exercises to do together. As I can to keep it engaging, but of course we'll not be able to do as much as we would do if we were in a physical space together. Okay, so the topic is professional ethics for educators. And I was rightly introduced as Nancy Ekpesu, the lead consultant at Pesu Smith Consulting. So this is just a bit about me, a bit of my profile that was read. I will not bother to go through that again because that has already been done. All right, and so here we have, this was me there. You can see me on the second row where I'm pointing. That was when I was featured as among 100 admired people in education in 2021. And this was where I was also featured among global educational influencers in 2020. And the award that I got from the for Africa Award for Excellence from the Internship University in India. So to tonight's topic, our objectives would be to establish and understand the importance of professional ethics in education practice. We'll also look at things that can guide us in decision making or decision taking for our own actions in the workplace as regards right and wrong. I like to tell people that when you get into a consulting room and you see a doctor wearing shorts, a singlet, smoking, and says, hey, what you come do here? What did they worry you? I'm sure you probably go and report to the hospital management that there is a problem because you do not expect a doctor to conduct him or herself that way. But sometimes we come into education and we do not understand that there are actually ethics that, that should guide how we conduct ourselves. And these days we hear so many things, we see so many things. And with social media now, it gets worrisome, the kind of things that come, to our attention on a daily basis about the lack of professionalism and ethics among people that work in the education space. And I think that's because people come in, we have all kinds of people coming into education, from engineers to microbiologists to, even lawyers, a whole lot of people, even lately doctors, and people just come. But you see, it's tough to say that there are really known ethics because every school just creates their own, rules and regulations and put them in a handbook that guides people. But there are some gray areas that sometimes these handbooks do not address, and you have to be able to differentiate between right and wrong when you're acting in the workplace. And I like to say this, that because educators have a daily influence in the lives of children, we are often held up to very high standards. You know that you can see people on the road driving, maybe roughly, maybe on button shirt, just flying, flying their shirts and driving past. And they could be from different professions. But the moment somebody says, oh, that one is a teacher, everybody says, so he's even a teacher and he's doing this, or she's even a teacher and she's doing this. Meaning that the society holds us as educators to very high ethical standards. And that is for the one reason that we have children who are committed to our care and we are meant to be role models to them. And we cannot give what we do not have. So if we do not have ethics, it's going to show in the way that we conduct ourselves. So doing all of our responsibilities, we are required to serve as strong role models and demonstrate ethical behaviors as we interact with the students, colleagues, parents, and the outside world. So I take ethics in different dimensions, but for this particular purpose, we'll be looking at it from a relationship and right and wrong kind of, perspective. And we're going to focus on how to behave towards your employer, how to behave towards your students, how to behave towards colleagues, how to behave towards parents, and how to behave maybe with your school management and then the outside world. So that is how I have actually classified the various ways that we're looking at ethics today. So professional educators acts with conscientious effort to set the highest ethical standards because the expectations are very high from us. At this point, I would like to know what comes to your mind when you hear the word professionalism. Can we type that in the comments? What comes to your mind when you hear the word professionalism? Let me hear from a few of you before we go on to the next slide. I'm waiting for your comments. What comes to your mind when you hear the word professionalism? What comes to your mind? What comes to your mind? I've not seen any comment. We are actually 9 people here. I hope a lot more people will get to watch the replay. Okay, I see a comment. Okay, someone says standard occupation, display of full understanding of your profession. Professionalism is setting high standards. Okay, Benga, everyone says professionalism is setting high standards. Thank you for that comment. Okay, Adeli Wrongbenga again says professionalism is setting high standard. Professionalism, Isaac says professionalism entails standard acts expected from a profession. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Oluwa Shino Bukola says the skill of full understanding of your profession. And Tofik Oyeyemi Gasali says standard occupation. All right. So Dr. Bob McTeddy says it's conduct, behavior, and attitude expected of an individual. Okay, very well. So let's look at what professionalism actually means. Okay. So professionalism is the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person. Now imagine that you're in a hospital and then you are a patient. You know, nobody wants to be sick, but at one point or the other, people get sick. Imagine that someone is in the hospital and is very ill, and there's a nurse assigned to take care of him or her. And the person maybe mistakenly urinates because he's too weak to get up to, get to the restroom. And the nurse just comes and says, "What is this?" and slaps the patient. At that point, would you consider the nurse professional? Would you say the nurse is very professional? There are some things there are some conduct, some aims, some qualities that are expected of a nurse. And slapping patients, getting irritated and short-tempered, losing with patients is certainly not one of them. It doesn't matter that we have bad eggs and a few nurses who are rude and really abrasive in their behavior to patients, but that is not the expectation. So professionalism is the conduct, aims, or qualities that characterize or mark a profession or a professional person. It implies that there is a quality of service you render. There is a quality of service. In all the schools that I work, everybody knows that there are some emails or letters that cannot go out. If they're grammatical errors, they are typos, everything must pass through my office before they go out because they are representing the school. And I always tell them, first, they used to call me Miss Professional. They say Miss Nancy is Miss Professional. Once she comes here, everything must be done properly because I set the standard for how they all had to do things, how they had to behave towards parents, towards students, towards the management team, and basically towards the school community generally. So let's look at this now. In your words, what do you understand by ethics? Let's hear you now. Okay, there were more comments after I had stopped, okay? Okay, someone says the right conduct to put in place. So let's look at ethics now. What does the word ethics mean? What do you understand by the word ethics? What do you understand by the word ethics? I see comments coming in. Behavioral. Okay, ethics has to do with behavior. That's what set of behaviors. That's what Temilola says. Moral principles. Thank you very much. Okay. Ethics really has to do with right or wrong, a sense of right or wrong. Okay. So ethics refer to the rules of behavior based on ideas about what is morally good or bad. What is morally good or bad? You know that your school handout is most likely not going to say, do not eat the children's food. But you know that there are schools where some teachers share a child's food into two, they'll divide it and take half and give half to the child. Collect from another child, take half, add to their, a whole lot of things. So it's really about a sense of what is morally good or bad, especially in the workplace and even in relationships. Okay, so ethics consists of acceptable standards of behavior and maintaining integrity. Take note of that word, integrity, in the workplace, especially when no one is watching you. Because you're not doing it out of eye service. Some people know acceptable standards of behavior and they know how to front it when their employers or their bosses are around. We're not talking about when your bosses or your employers are around. We're talking about when nobody is watching you. In other words, that has become like your guide, your internal guide to do what is right always, whether somebody's watching you or not. Okay, so our behaviors drive, our values drive our behavior and influence our attitudes. As such, our attitudes also influence our behavior. So ethical behavior is good for business and it involves demonstrating respect for key moral principles such as honesty, fairness, equity, dignity, diversity, and individual rights. Usually, I do not load my slides. Usually, for people who know me, I can have just a sentence. When I'm teaching ethics, I usually have to have a lot of content so that there are things you can refer to over and over in case you're even watching the replay. And because it's a very serious matter, especially in the education sector, and not only in the education sector, in other places, okay? So let's look at this. What attributes or qualities come to your mind when you say that someone is ethical? Can we have that in the chat? What qualities come to your mind when you say somebody is ethical? Okay, someone says right conduct or qualities. Ethics are rules and regulations that guide the conduct of our behavior and reflect in our teaching profession. Thank you, Obenga Adeniro. Wojuade Ezekiel says right conduct of qualities. Absolutely. So let's hear you now. Let's hear from you. What attributes or qualities come to your mind when you say that somebody is ethical? When you say someone is ethical, what are the qualities that come to your mind? I've not seen any comments. Okay, composure of oneself. Okay. Gasali Tawfiq Oyeyemi says composure of oneself. Absolutely. Let's hear again. Thank you for that. Let's hear you again. Let's hear someone else. What are the qualities that come to your mind? Okay, if you're not answering, we'll move on. Okay, someone is dropping. Punctuality, absolutely. Okay, Oluwashina Bukola says punctuality. Isaac Ewetola says role modeling. Temilola says integrity. Very correct, okay? You know, one of the things we need to know is that as educators, children must always be supervised. So if you come in late, let's say like 10 minutes, and another teacher is in his or her class, you kind of disrupt what goes on in the school. Because ideally, no child should be left unsupervised. At that point, children can get into trouble, they can fight, they can bully, they can injure one another. A whole lot of things can happen in your absence in just the 10 minutes that you're late. And usually when the school administrator would accost you, the response would be, is it not just 10 minutes? But you know, a whole lot can happen in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, a whole lot can go on, okay? So punctuality helps people to trust you. Okay, someone has listed here emotional intelligence, right attitude to work, transparency, accountability, fairness, punctuality, and the like. Thank you so much, Benga Adeniro. I really appreciate that. Okay, then we'll look at the benefits of being ethical, okay? I will be sharing stories along the way as I go. Well, let's look at golden rules to professional ethics, okay? And let's tell ourselves, be professional. One of the things, like I told you on my previous jobs, I remember people nicknaming me Miss Professional because it was my mantra. I would always tell everybody, let's keep it professional, do it professionally. And so I didn't even know that it had registered so much in the minds of the people that I led that they actually nicknamed me Miss Professional. Okay, they say Miss Professional. All right, so be professional. Can we type in the comments, be professional? And being professional means doing what it takes for others to think of you as reliable, respectful, and competent. Being professional means doing what it takes for others to think of you as reliable, respectful, and competent. Okay, and the golden rule number 1 is always strive for excellence. In anything that you do, if you are constantly excellent at it, you'll be trusted. People who have read my book, if you have read, people have read my book, The Educator, which was my first book, and they say, wow, the level of excellence that goes into producing your books, not just this book, all of my books, even the latest one that just came out, all my books, you see a level of excellence that you will not ordinarily see in a Nigerian author. I make sure that we go to any length to edit, to make sure we get the best design and everything in between. Okay, so applying emotional intelligence in dealing with people, absolutely. So golden rule number one is always strive for excellence. Be known for excellence. And that's one of the things that will bring promotion to you. Maybe at this point, I'll tell you that I've actually never, okay, apart from my last job, which was even headhunting, there's people coming to look for me to take the job, and it was in a multinational. I've actually never applied for a school administrator position. I always grew into that position, or I was recommended due to excellence on the previous job. And that's all the 4 school administration positions I've had. That was how they all came, okay? So the first rule is achieving greatness in whatever you set to do is to be excellent at it. It makes your work to stand out. It gets your employers to notice you as well and to consider you as professional. Number 2 is be trustworthy. I hate to say it, but you know that some teachers pilfer things from the school. Even tissue paper. Some still even cups from the boarding house, that's from the dining, spoons, tissue, hand wash. And some will just put in their handbags and steal and go home. And they don't consider it stealing. It's so bad that in some schools, they have to check all the teachers. In some schools, they don't even allow them to come in to the classroom areas with their handbags. They have to keep like a cubby like outside where they have to come and pack their stuff, keep their phones, keep their handbags, and just go in to teach. And when they are done, at the end of the day, they have to come in and take their handbags and go. Because of prior experience that the school owners or the school administrators have had with some employees, which is not nice at all. Okay. So you have to be trustworthy, and to be trustworthy, you have to be accountable and take responsibility for your actions. And to be trustworthy, it needs to fulfill any assigned task to you on time and not letting down expectations. It's about being dependable and reliable. Okay, when you're called to deliver or a service or carry out a task. Some of you wonder why you stay in a school for 5, 6, 7 years and there's no promotion. And someone else just comes in within 3 months, they're able to establish their trustworthiness and credibility, and they get more responsibilities added to them, and probably an increase at the end of the school year, leaving others grumbling and thinking that the school management is being partial. A lot of times they're not being partial because they observe, they know what goes on. Another is to be cautious and respectful. I don't know who gave us this culture, but we like to think that we should respect only those above us. In other words, when they see me as a school administrator, they greet me, they are nice and courteous and respectful. When they're talking to colleagues, they are rude. When they're talking to students, they are rude. You should not have a set of rules for dealing with those who are higher you and then bring down the standard when you're dealing with other people. Okay, some people feel because I can get something from this person, I should be able to treat them in a special way and just curry favor, you know, that kind of a thing. Yeah, then when you know that you're not getting any favors from them, you can treat them shabbily. I'm here to tell you that that is very unethical and it's very unprofessional. So courteousness means being friendly, polite, and well-mannered with a gracious consideration towards other people. A professional educator is polite to students, to colleagues, to his bosses, to his subordinates, to parents, and everyone around. Another is to be honest and transparent. And honesty connotes truthfulness and being straightforward in the conduct of your duty. It's about loyalty, it's about fairness, it's about being sincere and open in your communication and generally operating in a way that allows others to see what actions are being performed. It's a virtue, I must tell you, it's a virtue that employers really prize highly, and it will help to build trust. You need to be competent and keep improving on yourself. That is the golden rule number 5. Okay? Be competent and keep improving on yourself. when you know your onions and you can give the best of what you have, you're a professional. You're being professional. Or say competence is the ability of an individual to do a job properly. It's a combination of knowledge, skills, and behavior that you use in improving your performance. So you should constantly be learning. And I'm happy for everybody who has shown up here tonight to learn, because it means that you want to improve yourself. You want to be more competent in what you do. You want to gain more knowledge, okay? So it's about growing through experience to the extent that I think you're willing to learn and to adapt, okay? So continuous professional and personal development are important if you're going to be professional. Another is to be ethical. Just play by the rules. When you sign a contract with your employers, don't say, oh, they're wicked. Why should I give 3 months notice before I resign? You saw that in your contract and you signed. I tell people, do not sign a contract you're not going to keep. Do not sign a contract if you see terms that you're not comfortable with. Address them or try to renegotiate before signing. But if your employer insists, then please do the right thing if you have actually decided to accept it. So always play by the rules and stand by the right moral decisions. Be guided by morals when you're dealing with students, parents, colleagues, supervisors, and employers. Another golden rule is to be respectful of confidentiality. Some people's mouths run. They tell stories. They anything that comes to them, whether in admin, whether about a child, they just run their mouths. I had a policy and I made that a policy also in schools where I work. If information about a child comes to you, you keep it confidential. Maybe a child bedwets at home and comes to seek guidance counseling from the school, needs help. Or maybe a child has been failing and comes to a teacher that he or she needs help in further maths or here. Those are not discussions for the staff room. Okay. Or maybe parents are going through a divorce and it's affecting a child in school, and then everybody gathers, oh, have you heard in Mr. Lagbaja's family, in fact, they're breaking up, or have you heard what is going on? In fact, the child has been sleeping since morning. Even if you are privy to information about a child or his or her family, you're meant to keep it professional, please. Keep it professional. Do not, for whatever reason, give out information recklessly. There are some people who will have a pool of information because of their job. You know, they'll have to come in contact with certain sensitive information. That's not for you to spread about at all. So confidentiality is respecting the set of rules or promise that restrain you from further or unauthorized dissemination of information. It's important to keep confidential information. I remember the years when I was a teacher, before I even got to the managerial level, we would have open days, and some parents would want to know, you know, they'll come one-on-one. You know how we do, not open day, parent-teacher conferences, where the parent comes to find out how their child is performing and things that they need to do at home to help and all that. And some out of curiosity will ask how a child, maybe a child that they perceive is a rival in performance to their child. They want to know how another child is performing. And my response would always be, we're talking about your child, not another person's child. Okay, just like I would not discuss your child with another parent. And it helps to build trust. So confidentiality. So some parents will ask, so what did this boy score? What did Oyeb score in math? I want to know because my child scored this. I want to know if my child beats the other child. And like I would always tell them, that is not information for you. That is the child's grade and it's confidential, and I'll only discuss that with his or her parents. Okay. So it's important to keep confidential information. You gain the trust and respect of your students, of your colleagues, and of course, of your supervisors and employers. Another is to set good example, okay? Set good example, impart knowledge on those around and below you by good example. Very important. Then, of course, your behavior, your appearance and your image. We are living in that age now where no cleavages, extremely short skirts, and a whole lot of things have crept into the profession. While it's good to dress fashionably, you should also be mindful that you don't dress in a way that takes away all the attention, that gets all the attention instead of them focusing on what you're teaching. So any clothes, I tell people that if you work in early years, there's no point wearing high heels and suits and blazers and looking all overly dressed. You should work in a way that you be approachable to the children, and you can even easily stay on the mat, maybe for activities. So a pair of jeans and a nice shirt and maybe slip-ons or sneakers would be appropriate, okay? Of course, if you're a school administrator, maybe suits and the rest would be fine. I used to do both. I would have days, excuse me, I would have days when I really dress up. I would also have days when I could just have business casual. So it all depended on, what I wanted to wear and what was allowed in the school's regulations, okay? So your appearance counts, your personal hygiene. If no matter how well you teach, if you have body odor, mouth odor, and these are not things we should be mentioning, but they happen in the education circle. I had a teacher once who was a very eager teacher. She was always improving on herself. She was always learning. But I had a problem with her personal hygiene. And I put it in her performance appraisal when I was writing my comment. After the head of primary had actually evaluated her, I had to be the one to make comments on everybody's forms. I made a comment that she was an excellent teacher, except that she had to improve on her personal grooming. And she was very sad. She went home and cried, according to her. She showed it to everybody, told everybody how she felt bad, that she's been teaching for years, for over 20 something years. Nobody ever told her that she had body odor. And so when she came to me and she said how sad she was, I had to actually talk to her that I was uncomfortable to make that comment, but I just had to do it because I had tried to hint her on one or two visits to the classroom, but she just didn't seem to get it. I advised her to use roll-on. And by the way, I actually dedicated a chapter in this book. This book shares a whole lot, apart from the things, a whole lot of other things. I dedicated a chapter to talking about your appearance and your personal image as an educator. So you might want to get a copy of the book, The Educator, when we are done with this, okay? So, so it matters the way that, you appear. Brush your hair, look nice, wear tidy clothes, polish your shoes, wear clothes according to what your school approves for your setting, okay? And I'm not talking about dressing expensively. I'm talking about just looking good. And let me tell you, children love it when their teachers look good. I remember when I was a year two teacher, when we were done with the school year and I was to move on to another class, the children told me, no, the parents were even lobbying with the school administrator then that they should take me with the children to year three because the kids loved me. And they kept saying, my teacher dresses so well, she speaks good English, she's so tidy, she's so, apart from that, I could really teach. There were certain other things they liked about me because I always looked good. I always looked good to work every day. I looked smart, I would wear nice perfume, make sure that my hair was tidy, my nails properly manicured. And the children loved it. They always gave me compliments. And it's the same. In fact, on my last job, there was a teacher who was the head of elementary. We needed an assistant head of elementary. And there was a teacher who was absolutely amazing with the children. She had done so much. But you know why I couldn't recommend her to the position to head the. No, what happened was we were moving the head of primary to become the principal after the principal resigned and left the country. And so we needed to replace the head of elementary. And there was one teacher who should have been the one. We didn't recommend her just because she didn't look tidy. She wore her dress, you could never predict her dressing. Some days she would look okay, at other times she would just wear anything. Some days she would not even iron her clothes properly. And for that position, I needed somebody who had an executive presence. And so when the board asked me who should take over that role, and her name didn't come up, they asked why, because they knew she was a star performer. And I had to explain that I had concerns about her image for the organization, because it meant when we had events, she had to be on the high table, and she was showing the pictures, she was showing the yearbook as the head of elementary, and we had our reputation to protect. So she lost that promotion just because her appearance was not good. Her personal grooming and image were not up to the standard that we needed for the school for that position. So that should serve as a reminder. Another thing I want to point out is avoid doing personal business with the school's resources. Okay? Some people will get to school and use the school's paper to photocopy their personal stuff, create their CVs, even photocopy textbooks and books. Maybe they're running a master's program or a PhD program. They would use the school's paper and ink to run photocopies for themselves. Or maybe they have church programs. Maybe you're a teacher in the Sunday school in your church, and then they will come there and run copies. All of these are really ethical, okay? The school loses anytime you do that, because there's a budget for all those things that you're misusing or mismanaging. So make sure that you do not use the school's internet to be doing your personal business, or to use the school's paper or the school's ink, or the school's materials generally to run your personal things. Okay? And learn to stay off social media when you're supposed to be working. If you have an online presence, it is not during office hours you should record your videos, please. Even if you're an administrator, do not use your office hours. On my last job, I had already started my Facebook group, Educational Administration Network. And what I did was to go to the MD and CEO, and I reported myself, not reporting myself, but informing them that I was starting a Facebook group, but that I was going to be keeping my personal phone and laptop at hear me say yes in the. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Please type yes.
We can.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's continue from where we stopped. All right, so this is where I was before the internet went up. If you can see the screen, please, if you can see my slide, please just type yes. I can see the slide. Can you type I can see the slides? Can you type I can see the slide? Okay. Okay, sorry about that interruption. Like you can never predict internet in this country. And I got two different ones just to be sure that nothing would go wrong. But well, so I was saying that you should avoid using your school's resources to do your personal business and to stay off social media during office hours. I think where I got cut off was when I was talking about my last job, that I actually had a strong social media presence, but I never used office hours to do anything on social media. Rather, I went to the MD CEO and actually told them that I was starting a Facebook group and I wanted them to know. So I wanted to hear how they felt about it. I drew up the rules and I told them I would never use office hours between 7:30 to 4 p.m. or 5. I used to close at 5, even though my closing time was 4:30. I would always still stay till 5, sometimes 6. But I never used office hours to do anything on social media, even to check my Facebook account or whatever. I made sure I did not. What I did rather was that I kept my personal phone at home where I was using for my personal stuff. I kept my personal laptop at home. And so during office hours, I'll face my job. I'll answer only calls from my official phone and keep strictly to the office hours. After office hours, if I needed to do anything, which was not every day, by the way, I would just maybe if I was going live, which was a few times, I think I went live like 3 times in the 3 years I was there. I would just do it in the evening or on a weekend, maybe Saturday evening when I was not working. And if I needed to do a post, I can use the weekend and just post. Luckily, you can schedule posts. Okay, then I got to know an app that I could use to schedule on Instagram and Facebook. So I would just schedule them and they'll be dropping at odd times. So if they check, they will see that I wasn't even on, I wasn't live, it was just dropping on their own, even while I was working, but I didn't have to be there physically. So I explained all of that and it was fine by them. And that was what I did until I resigned and now started my company. So do not cheat your employers. If you record videos, TikTok videos, YouTube videos, please do not use official hours. It's unethical. Find time after office hours to do that. Okay. And do not take calls in the classroom. It's actually very unethical. Some teachers will be teaching and then a call comes in and they rush to pick their phone and they're answering calls, talking to the children, talking to someone. It's just not proper at all. So another is behave professionally even in public. You have to be professional even in the public. So swearing and being drunk in public will cause members of the community to lose respect for you, your school, and the profession at large. You know that teaching is your private life, but it's also a public thing. Now imagine that you're a lady and you teach children morals, you teach them moral instruction, you teach them ethics in school, you teach a whole lot. And then in the evening, or maybe their parents are driving past, they just see a teacher wearing all these funny things that women of the night wear. I'm sure you know what I mean by those women of the night, standing by a hotel looking for a customer. And then when they summon you, maybe the next day, maybe they let your employer know that, oh, we've been seeing this lady around here, men pick her up or whatever. And the person says, you know, my private life. You know, even though it's your private life, I do not think that employers will want to employ a teacher who does that for the sake of the children, you know, and for even the image of the school that they represent. You understand? So while it is your private, or maybe a teacher who is found, you know, not buttoning up, fighting in a club and bringing a bottle to maybe stab someone, people could say, well, that's his private life. But there's a very thin line between a teacher's private life and public life. And anything that is private and suddenly goes public becomes a big issue, a very big issue. You know that people can fight at a club and it might not be a big deal. And then when a teacher is involved, it becomes a big deal. It goes viral because people hold us to really high standards. I'm not saying that is fair on educators. I'm just telling you how it is. People hold us to very high ethical standards, and they do not expect that a teacher will be involved in all those kind of things. Okay? So always stay away from, in fact, when you're a teacher, try to stay away from substance abuse, shisha, you know, nicotine, tobacco, you know, cigarettes, cigars, excessive smoking and drinking. If you drink, social drinking is acceptable by anybody. You just have a 1 or 2 bottles of beer. I don't drink, and I don't judge people who drink. In the schools where I was an administrator, we had a rule: no smoking on campus, no drinking on campus, no alcohol. So even if you were a boarding house parent residing in the campus, you couldn't drink during when school was in session. And you were not permitted to smoke either. There were habits we did not tolerate at all. Okay. And then I also want to say, mind your language even on social media. Some people, I recruit a lot for organizations, and one of the things we do is that we check out people's social media footprints. So if I come to someone's social media page now, and you are a teacher, and I scroll your content for the past 6 months, there's nothing there that shows ethical behavior. Maybe you're posting, women naked women, whose boobs are bigger than the other, and all manners of things. I'm going to wonder, because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of what you have is what you post on social media. People will say, no, what they are on social media is not who they are in real life. How will I know? It is what I see that I actually will go by. And let me tell you, once I had to choose between two very good candidates who performed well in an interview, um, and then I went on LinkedIn. The one who had a strong presence on LinkedIn and was sharing his professional journey and the things he had done, volunteering, collaborating, actually got my attention more than the one who just knew a lot of theory and was just posting trashy things on Instagram and Facebook. I chose the other guy because it looked more professional to me. Now, this one who lost the job probably didn't know that there was a tie between him and someone else. And I had to take a decision who was going to get that job. And I looked here, and all I saw was him abusing Buhari then. That was when Buhari was in power. Oh, this useless president, they will mimic Goodluck Jonathan's wife. It's good to catch your cruise and have fun. But sometimes it might cost you something that you do not even know, because we look at digital footprints when we are dealing with candidates these days. So that's a wake-up call. If you have been posting trashy things, you might want to clean up your social media, because you might be losing opportunities that you do not even know about. Okay? And I'll always say again, obey traffic rules when you're driving, mind your language, even on social media. Teaching is your private job, but it's also a public act at some point. That's what I would like you to know. Then golden rule number 12, be up to date with technology. Be up to date with technology. I cannot emphasize this enough. Be up to date with the apps that are used in teaching, in learning, in creating courses, recording videos in case you have to do that. And of course, writing your lesson plans, all of the apps for data analysis. Be up to date with technology. And recently, artificial intelligence. You know, I just finished recruiting for a school in Lagos for a head teacher. And there were some CVs I didn't even take a second look, because while they were learning to use artificial intelligence, I think some of them use ChatGPT. Even the command that they gave ChatGPT to do, they just copied everything and pasted in the application. And I'm like, what? In the cover letter, I'm like, what is this? Be up to date with technology and know how to use them properly. And if you're using ChatGPT and other artificial intelligence now, please go out and know how to use them well. Know the prompts to give so that you don't give yourself away too easily. And learn to network with other educators, collaborate with your colleagues, get a mentor or coach, okay? Get a mentor or coach. Professional networking is very important. So when you get on social media, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, now X, whatever. Just make TikTok. Make sure that you're there to enhance your profession. Okay, if it's your personal handle where you just want to do your personal stuff, that is still fine. But make sure you keep it tidy, okay? And use the opportunity to network with people. So let's look at employers now. I'm going to run through this quickly now. For your employers, what kind of relationship should you have? How should you be ethical? How do you conduct yourself in an ethical manner with your employers? First of all, you need to keep to the terms of your contract. I've never walked away from a job. I must always resign, because the truth is, these same people are going to actually give you references. Those of you that want to Japa, you want to go to Canada, you want to go to the UK, you want to go to the US. As I speak to you on Monday, I'll be sending in a reference for somebody who works with me when I was an administrator. He's trying to get a job in the US. Even when he left for Dubai and got a job there, I was the one who did his reference. When he moved from there to the UK, I was the one who gave a reference. Guys, he only stayed in the UK briefly and he's getting a better place in the US. I'm also the one doing that. Now imagine that, of course, I was the administrator, not his employer. But imagine that he was not punctual, he didn't have initiative, he was not ethical, or he was misbehaving all over the place. I certainly am not somebody who would tell lies. I would not say it in a way that they won't take him, but I'll just state it softly that, you know, this is the kind of person that he was, so that I don't recommend someone who will go there and embarrass me, and my signature will be there, and I'm actually recommending him. But I'm happy to recommend him because he was really great at what he did while we worked together. He was supportive of the management. He helped in organizing events. He went the extra mile in getting a lot of things done. And I thought that was really great. So that's what I'm going to say about him. So if he was not ethical, I would not lie. So you should also be mindful of the policies of the organization and keep to them. And then handle yourself when funds are allocated to you, maybe in a committee, maybe events, make sure you handle them well. If there's any change left when you're done, any balance, please always make sure you send it in. And it's not your personal money. Always report back and give it back to the school. Okay? So also embark on your continuous professional development. That will help you on your job to be better at what you do, and your employers will appreciate you for it. Okay, I've already talked about not using the organization's facilities and resources for your personal use. Okay, and then take responsibility for your performance. Then towards students, how should you be ethical? First, create a learning environment that nurtures your students to fulfill their potentials. And don't be biased. Do not relate with a student based on maybe they're in your church or your mosque or your denomination, or they're from your village, or you live in the same estate. No. Everybody there pays fees, and every child should be treated as equal. Okay, so deal considerably with each child. Okay, and seek to resolve problems, including discipline, according to law and your school policy. Learn to keep confidential information. I already mentioned that, okay? And make efforts to protect your students from conditions that are detrimental to their learning, their health, and their safety. Deal with them without prejudice or bias or personal bias. Sometimes students come to your class, and because of comments that a teacher had made about such a child, you just start labeling them without even giving them a chance to prove themselves or to even make an input for them to fulfill their potential. So be mindful of prejudice or bias, or do not discriminate. Don't discriminate based on gender, ethnicity, your race, your color, your religion, or your creed, or social background. There are some schools, some people who treat those who are rich, who are in the upper echelon, better than those whose parents are not as rich. That's not good. It's not ethical. So do not bully the students or put them down, but rather work to build their self-esteem. And be vigilant about deviant behaviors from students you teach, so that you can report them and have them attended to. Then how would you get ethical in your conduct with administration and management? First, I want you to know that you have to learn how to manage your boss. You have to learn how to manage your boss. Okay? There's authority in a school, and it's part of what is the chain of command, and you cannot change it. When you get into the school, you will meet an organogram. There might be a board of directors, the executive director, and then you might have a school head of school, school administrators, head teacher, whoever. Everybody is part of the management, has to have respect accorded to them because of their position. Okay, so work on school goals and solving problems. Okay, don't be the one who is always complaining. Rather, learn to solve problems. Make meaningful contributions and input as an educator to projects and to goals. And learn to make inputs, make recommendations. And don't be rude. You know, some people see things going wrong and they just start running down the administrators or the managers. It's always a good thing to make your observations known, but do it in a respectful manner. And towards your colleagues, learn to accord equitable treatment to everybody. Learn also to keep confidentiality, okay? And learn not to snitch on your colleagues. You know how some people will just be telling, and using them to gain cheap favor with others at the top. That's very unethical, okay? Learn to respect your colleagues' political, religious and political views, their ethnicity, their race, and the differences that you have. And do not interfere with your colleagues' freedom of choice, okay? Work to eliminate anything that is around abuse, maybe abusing your colleagues of yours. You know, sometimes even forwarding some horrible things on WhatsApp to people, learn boundaries with colleagues. Just because you are your colleagues doesn't mean they want you to be forwarding every rubbish on WhatsApp to them. So learn to respect their boundaries, okay? All right, so to parents, make effort to communicate to parents the information that they need to know about their children. Some schools do not allow teachers to interface directly with their parents, with the parents of the students. But if they do in your school, keep it professional. Don't go there and start asking them anything for your boy. Keep it professional. Draw professional boundaries with them. I trained a school in the South, I think 2 years ago, and someone asked me a very interesting question during the question and answer session after my training. And he said, what if a parent comes to your school and he gives you a shopping list and says, hey, go and shop for me? And I was alarmed at that question because in all of my years now, over 30 years in the education sector, no parent has ever come to me to say I should go and shop for him or to go and help him in the house. And I asked the teacher, how did you conduct yourself to the extent that a parent will come to you and request that you go to their house to help them do things? I don't even understand, and I can't wrap my head around it. Okay, so please carry yourself with decorum, with dignity, not in a braggish manner, but at least draw professional boundaries with parents. When I was a school administrator, and I've worked in schools that have highbrow parents, where in fact, if you're not discipline, it could be tempting to move into their personal lives to gain favor. But I always kept it professional, and that was why they always respected me. Sometimes, as much as even the maybe Speaker of the House of Assembly saying, "Oh, I have an event, we are sending you an invite." If I look at it and I'm not sure the kind of cycle, I could just say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'll be really busy on that day. Maybe I'm checking the children's results or working. I would not be able to make it." Or sometimes they bring gifts. I'll just tell them to pass them through my secretary so that the secretary will record them. So I was not into the habit of just collecting gifts indiscriminately or asking for it. I never asked any parent in all of my years in the education space, either for assistance or for them to give me anything. No. If they brought gifts at the end of the term, I would normally share it amongst my colleagues. And I tell people, I always record it, they'll receive them. And I'll tell my admin officer or the front desk officer to share whatever it is they have brought. When I was a teacher, I would also declare maybe Parents are very happy with what I've done, and they've come to give me a little thing. I'll let the school administrator know about it in case there's any issue that arises afterwards. So it's always good to be that transparent in your dealings so that you keep it ethical, okay? So for some schools, they do not allow teachers to go and do home lessons, private home lessons in the parents' houses if the child is in your class to avoid conflict of interest, okay? Hello?
See,
Someone is saying something. Could you mute her, please? It's interfering with what we're doing. Remember the following: develop your professional skills, keep your values and attributes, and then make sure that you invest in professional knowledge and learning. And these are qualities that you should not joke with: loyalty, trust, respect, responsibility, caring, fairness, because they actually eventually form your character. So as I conclude this, I told you I'll keep to 1 hour, and this is one. We actually started not exactly at 7. This is 9 minutes past 7, so that we can take a few questions. So in professionalism connotes accepting responsibility for your own professional development and growth. And I want you to type in the comments, keep it professional or be professional, okay? So I need you to connect with me. This is my WhatsApp enabled line. You can call or send a WhatsApp, a message to +234 803 588 I have a YouTube channel, and hopefully this video will be uploaded to my YouTube channel when Isaac Ewetola sends it to me. So that's my YouTube channel, is my name, Nancy Ekwezu. I'm also on LinkedIn as Nancy Ekwezu. I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group, Educational Administration Network. I'm currently over 16,000, even though I've not been serious lately with it, but I hope to revive it. I post there regularly, but we've not been having the live sessions we're having. On Facebook, you can follow my profile. My personal profile is Nancy Ekwezu. My website has been down for the past 3 days. I'm actually trying to move it to some other platform because we pay for it in dollars and the exchange rate hasn't been friendly. I'm also on Instagram as Nancy Ekwezu. You can send me an email at pezusmithconsulting@gmail.com. And very importantly, you can get to my seller shop and you will find a lot of materials there, okay? And these are my books. I talked about Dear Educator. Dear Educator goes for 6,000 naira now. But if you're in this webinar tonight and you want to get it, I can give you a discount of 500 naira. So you can pay 5,500 instead of 6. Okay. And I also have the e-copy on my seller shop. This is my book, The School Administrator's Companion, but that's the last copy. You can only get the e-copy now. And then I have Effective Boarding House Administration, which is the only book on boarding house administration in Nigeria. Okay, and you can get it for 6,000 naira. My latest book, The Manager's Companion, was released at the end of last year in December, and it's been selling, and people have been giving amazing testimonials. You might want to get your copy. It goes for 10,000. These are my other books, Exceptional School Customer Service, and I have an online course on school customer service. They're all on my seller shop. All of these are ebooks. These ones are ebooks. All my books are available in ebook format. The ones that are still in print are The Manager's Companion, Effective Boarding House Administration, the school and Dear Educator. Okay. strictly, this is available in ebook and book. Okay, so that's my book, The Manager's Companion. I can give you for, let's say, 8,500 if you're buying tonight, and if you're from this webinar. So if you just reach out to me on my WhatsApp, introduce yourself and say you were at this webinar and you would like to have the discount so that I can give you the code to be able to pay for it. Because if you get on my, if you're going to pay directly, you might see that the price is different from what I'm giving you. I'm giving you a discount. So these are the books, and thank you very much. I don't know if we have questions, and I'm going to stop sharing at this point. No, I shouldn't stop. Let's get to the place where we have my contact details. You might want to take a picture of this so that you contact me. But don't leave without subscribing to my YouTube channel and contacting me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect with me on Facebook. Follow me. In fact, I've been doing a series for school administrators on my Facebook. And I think I've posted a few on LinkedIn as well. On LinkedIn, I also have a newsletter that I publish for managers and administrators and boarding house people. So do that. And make sure you visit my Seller shop. I have lots of resources, over 40 of them on that Seller shop. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, Isaac Ewetola. I hope that you have found this useful, and I'm going to stop sharing here.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very wonderful experience. It was